Yeah. If you guys don't have a vector, check to see if you have a vector. If not, get one on one of those boxes. One of the ammo boxes. Alright, everybody got one? Okay, Mackie is out of ammo. Okay. Alright, come over here. All of you. Let's go. Come on.
How did you spot an enemy? There's no freaking enemies. He said.
Yeah, you should probably grab a battery. That might help. Well, grab one anyway. Alright.
This guy's recording?
So, basically, the setup is what takes the longest part. After that, shooting and all that shit and getting fire missions and blah, blah, blah. That's all really simple and really quick. So, setting up the gun, you need to get the grid position, the grid position of the gun. It's an 8. You do everything in 8-figure grids. Everything's in 8-figure grids. Everything, targeting, everything. So you need an 8-figure grid, the elevation of the gun, and the direction of where the barrel's pointing. So basically, if you stand here, you get a grid position of 0480117. So that is the grid position of this gun, where it's at, located in the world. So you need that and the elevation, and you guys all have daggers. So if you hit home on your keyboard, it'll bring this up. So you're gonna have your 8-figure grid, which will be like MGRS-new 048, blah blah blah, depending on how close you are to my position that I'm at, and an elevation of like 339 meters. So you're gonna need to remember that. Remember, if you guys need to like actually see it for yourselves, go ahead, just stand right in the middle of that thing right there, and you'll get it on your dagger. Just so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. So, actually, while I'm thinking about it, I should probably write this down so I don't seem like a complete and total idiot while I'm sitting here like, oh, I forgot what I was talking about. So, we have a grid of 048. Yeah, if you're going to be doing artillery, make sure you either have 1, a really good memory, or 2, a pad of paper and a pen. Because there's a lot of numbers. So 048, 017, and an elevation of 339. Alright, now we need to get the direction of the barrel. Now this, I place it on the map so it's facing due south, which would be 180 degrees on your guys' compasses, but we don't use degrees because it's too inaccurate. I mean, if you're off by 1 degree and you're shooting at, let's say 700, 800 meters to up to 1,000 meters, actually we'll go from about 1,000 meters to about 3,000 meters. You could be off by 100 to 200 meters left or right, depending on where you're going. So if you guys get your vectors out, and load your battery, or K-Mac, can you take a step to your right real quick? If you guys, get into your sight, right now you get a degree, 180 degrees at the barrel. If you hit Alt and R, come on, do it. Yep, Alt and R, you'll see it go to 6,400. And then it's going to go down to about, it should be about 30, it should be about 3,200, is the direction of the barrel. If you're lined up perfectly with it, it should be 3,200. Because that's true south. Because due north would be, in mils, 6,400. This is called the mils system. It's a lot more accurate. If you look on your, you can even use it on your compass. On your compass, if you bring it out, it's that outer ring. And it's actually, it is the outer ring.
Oh, shit. Shit, how do I drop it? How do I drop it? I misclicked on my scroll wheel menu.
God damn it.
Click what?
Click X.
Son of a bitch.
2919. Well, that kind of fucks it up because it has to be set up with that kilometer real quick, so hold on. Can somebody get in the gun so I can fix this thing real quick? I don't care who it is. I really don't give a fuck. Just get in the gun and then look to the sight.
Ah, bastard.
I'm looking through the site.
All right, tell me
My
when
vector thing is not
that
right.
I had to shift the gun, right? I believe. Tell me when that gun is on that little kilometer thingy again.
It's getting real close. There it is.
Is it on it directly?
No, it's on the rim. On the right rim. Gotta go back the other way, I guess.
All right.
Okay, now it's kind of still on the rim. But it's on the opposite rim now.
What the fuck? God damn it, Frosty. Recruits are always messing shit up. Get out of the thing. Get out. Alright, I just manually fucking changed it. I don't know how well it's gonna fuck up the actual aiming, but don't touch it. Christ
Me
sakes.
too, I swear.
Alright, so I have it so it should be set up lined up again. At least I hope it is. If not, we're all kind of really screwed. So it was at 3200.
Totally off. I think.
Is it?
No, that looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I mean,
How far?
like on the this, it seems a little bit off.
How
I
about
can never
this?
get the
How about
vector
this?
correctly. I always seem to fuck it up.
I get 3197.
I want to be DJ.
Get the fuck out of my spot.
This is not making it seem easy to use the howitzer. Like, you move one little thing, you never hit anything again.
Well, it's because you moved it before it was ready to fire, you dolt.
Oh, okay.
So, Karma, okay. Unless you're like restarting it, which I could understand. Yay, video editing. Yeah, put that in just so you can and make sure and above in an editing say, don't do this.
Don't use your scroll wheel menu anywhere near that goddamn thing.
Yeah. All right. So
Frosty, the
Frosty,
red.
Karma. Okay. Same thing. You guys. So it should be
That's
lined up.
179 for me. God damn it.
It's because you're in degrees, dumbass.
How do I change that?
Alt R.
Okay. So then,
It's always
It's-
in mils. Always.
alright, so it's
It's perfect.
3191.
So
No, it's
it's
not.
30. It should be 3200 since it's due south since I did it in the editor. So it should be 3200. It's just
What
depending,
happens
you
if
know,
you're off?
the farther back you stand, and the better it is.
What happens if
Dude,
you're
I
off
almost
by like
freaking
8 or
did it
something
again,
like
god
that?
damn it.
If you're off by a little bit, that's going to change everything. So if you're, you want to be as accurate as humanly possible.
Okay, I'm Asian and I hate math.
That's saying something. Okay, so it's 3200. You guys can stop dancing around with your binoculars in your face.
Mine's 3199. God damn it.
All right, well, you can say that all you want. It's not going to be true. Oh, also another thing, don't ever interact with this thing, ever. Don't touch it. People glitch themselves out on it all the time. Just don't touch it, for the love of Jesus Christ.
I want to touch it now.
Don't touch it. All right, so everybody, get into this Humvee. Doesn't really matter where you sit. Just get in. Whoever's outside, you might have to sit in the driver's seat. Okay. Yeah. All right. Don't move. Just all right. Use your scroll wheel menu and go to use an/gyk-37 BCS if you can. Sometimes it might not because everybody's trying to use it at once. So is everybody in it?
I'm
Kamaki's in
in.
it, so it won't let me in.
Alright, Frost, use it.
Okay, I got in.
All right.
Yeah.
Let Karma do it just for now, just because he's recording, and just it'd be easier that way. Just for now, and then everybody else can use it, just so they can get used to it. All right. You're gonna come up to the screen, and it's gonna like you're gonna have like a call sign, and then like a battery name. You see that? It's right at the top. Put whatever you want in there. It doesn't matter. You could name it Cock and Balls 32, and then whatever. It doesn't really matter what you put in there in those first two lines. It's just kind of like what your call sign or like what your battery will be called. So underneath that, you'll see like a pop down menu. It'll say 105 millimeter howitzer gun or something like that. Correct? Yeah. And then that doesn't really change because there's no other guns that are close to us. Then under that, you'll see like grid, alt, and elevation or direction of fire or something like that. Exactly. Zero. Do you remember what all that stuff was? Okay. Yeah. Put all that stuff in as you see fit. You know. And then tell me when you're done. All right. Target prefix and target start. I just put one in for that. It doesn't really. It's no matter what I put in there, it doesn't really seem like it does anything. So I just put one. And then after all that's done and over with, you're gonna come up to a thing at the bottom. There's a button that's called grid. That's mainly what we're gonna use. It's the quickest and easiest way to actually get rounds downrange. So if you click on grid, it'll bring you to another screen, and that's when you start taking fire missions. So I'm just gonna give you a random fucking grid just for the shit of it. Um, yeah, why not? Let's do this. Go. Like I said, it's all gonna be in 8-figure grid references. So go 06950765. Then for altitude, put 294.
How do you tell altitude again?
Uh, it's basic. What do you mean for your grid?
Yeah.
You have to use the terrain lines that are on your map.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna let sub do that tomorrow.
All right. Now underneath that, you're gonna see like target description or something. Yeah, that doesn't really matter. If you're gonna like want to kind of like give it a little more realism, saying like it's a house, it's like 100, it's like 50 meters by 100 meters and X tall, whatever. And if it's moving, or I don't see how a house would move, but that doesn't really matter. The stuff on the right side is what really matters. Um, there's at the top it should say like danger close, yes or no. Danger close is anything within 100 meters, just due to the fact of shrapnel and if the gun is off by however much. If the gun's not set up properly at the beginning, you could be shooting off, and that's just going to make your guys' job harder at the beginning. So really, everything leading up to this is the most important part. Underneath that, there's like a little description box, I think, and then there's a scroll, another pop down thing, right, for ammo. What is it? Yeah. HE is your standard high explosive. DPICM is your airburst munitions. I'll get that requires a different fuse. I'll get into that later. Um, and then illumination illuminates, and smoke is smoke. It's pretty simple. But right now we're just going to use HE just for the sake of the tutorial. Then make sure you have a scroll down a little bit. Underneath that it'll say like type of fuse. It's going to be a point detonated fuse. And then after that, we are going to go down to round count. You see that? Put 1 in for that, just for now. And then that's basically it. And then there should be a thing down there that's called adjust. Click on that. The computer will start working and start giving you fire solutions. Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's your fire solution screen. That's basically that. All that is really gonna come into effect. This is basically everything you're about to do to the gun. So, the lower the solution, or if you look, there'll see that there'll be a thing that says like TTI or TIT or something like that. And it'll be like right now it should be like maybe like 10 or 15. Well, it's probably because it counted down. Is there anything there that has a like 15.3 or something like that next to it? If anything, it might be at the end of the solution. At the top of the computer screen. There should be at the end of that whole solution thing, like azimuth, deflection, blah blah blah. At the end of it, there should be a time on target, and the first one should be a relatively low number. Yeah. Okay, so it takes 6 seconds from the bullet to get from where we're currently sitting to the grid that I gave, which is in Novi Sabor. So it takes 6 seconds. That's a pretty low fire solution. It's basically direct shot. You want, depending on where you're at, like if you're in Pakistan, you want a very high solution because of the mountains, because you're firing an actual, a thing through the air. So it'll actually smack into a mountain. It'll never reach its target. Uh, or if you're shooting in the middle of a city, you want to make sure the round's coming almost straight down so that it hits its target and doesn't hit a building on accident. So use next till you get to something that may have like a 25 or a 30-second time on target. That'll work. So what you're gonna see is the deflection, like an azimuth, a deflection, a charge, and a quadrant. It might not be in that order, but that's basically what it's gonna say. Okay, azimuth is the most useless thing that computer tells you, so don't even pay attention to it. Uh, pay attention to the charge, the deflection, and the quadrant. So, the charge, what's the charge? Actually, just tell me the whole thing. Okay. So that's basically everything that you need to know per se. Um, just keep that in mind. Hit escape to get out of the computer, and hopefully it'll stay on that screen so everybody that gets in the computer next can kind of just can get what's going on. If not, yeah, somebody else take it. If it goes back to the home screen, I'll go over with you later.
Yeah, it stayed.
Yep.
Okay, so it's at that same firing solution.
Yeah, fire mission platoon adjust number one round with stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's basically. If you guys want me to
Take a
go
look,
over with you
Frosty.
how to get to that screen again, I will. But for the sake of this right now, we'll just get on. Keep moving on. So,
Frosty, you can look.
what happened?
I've actually
Frosty, you
gotten
can,
this far before, so I think
Okay.
I should be fine for this.
Okay. Eric K-Mac, you need it after this, or?
It seems pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right. So, Karma, keep that in. You wrote it down. So let's get out of the howitzer, or get out of the Humvee and go to the howitzer. Oh, I did, so it's okay. Okay, this is where the fun part comes in. So we got our firing solution, and basically we need to get the gun set up to that. So Karma, get into the gunner seat if you wouldn't mind. All right. Use your scroll menu to get to a thing called use, like it's gonna say like use BNG. Yeah, it should say use something. That use that. It's gonna bring up a range table type deal uh, on your
Top
top
left.
left side of your screen, I believe. At least that's where it goes on mine. That's where you're gonna put all your stuff. So the deflection was 2504. So go to deflection and use and click on that with your mouse and keyboard. Make it should change so that the azimuth changes as well when you do it. If now right now it should be going by like increments of 1. If you use shift into it, it should go by increments of 10. If you do control shift into it, it should be increments of 100. And I can tell that the azimuth is changing because the sight is turning as well, so that's actually good. If you're going up, try and go down just to make sure that it doesn't. If you go over 6400, like if you're at like 32 and it's at like 100 and you go the wrong way and you go over 6400, it kind of fucks with the gun a little bit. 2504. We're not going to send a round down range. It's just so you guys can kind of get used to it. Okay. Now the quadrant is the elevation. It's just how it's worded. So the elevation was 967. So when you go to the elevation, do the same thing. Now you're gonna watch. There's like a slide bar. The top slide bar is gonna start. It should slide to the left. There's gonna be a little dot that's in between two parallel lines, and that's gonna shoot to the left when you start doing this. Is that right? Yeah. All right. Just do your stuff. Control shift click, and then get to 967, and then I'll tell you how to get that thing back to where it's at, because that's actually pretty vital.
The way the dude sits just look comfortable.
Yeah, I know. Sitting with a giant metal rod between his legs. I'm so glad that they don't use this thing anymore. All right. Now to get that little dot back into between those parallel lines, use Control Shift and then the down arrow key. Your up, down, left, and right arrow keys. Use your down arrow key. It's gonna start scrolling through the menu. That's fine. It's okay. It's not gonna change anything. It's not gonna do anything. Now I don't know if you can see it right now, but you're changing the barrel, like the barrel. Uh, and you're supposed to be doing that. You're changing the angle of the barrel. That's what that circle thing for the barrel lines is for, is to get that set up with the sight unit. You just use Control and Shift. What? Yeah, that won't do it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So you can exit out of that, or you can go to View Site. Either way, you have to get to View Site. It doesn't matter how you get there. Yeah. And now, are you looking through the sight unit? It's basically like a crosshair. Okay. This is where the other guys come into play. This gun's probably gonna have to be shifted to the left because it has to line up with that kilometer. Right now, Karma, you're probably looking at the pavement, right? Yeah. Okay. So one of you guys needs to go up here and shift the gun to the left. Okay. Now just pull backward on it. Now, Karma, you have to talk to these guys and to start saying when you can start seeing it, and you need to get the numbers of the mills on that horizontal line lined up with the numbers that are going to be on the kilometer. Make sure that they line up, each one for each one. It's probably gonna have to turn a little ways till he gets there. You think? Okay. Okay. So just shift the gun right then. Just kind of just go slower. Like I said, this is the hardest part, and it takes the longest part is just getting it lined up. So just do it in a little. Okay, that's fine. Now, Frosty, you know how to get out of it. Now, Karma, you can actually make sure those numbers are lined up. 25 or like 0 with 0 or whatever it's supposed to be lined up with. 25 with 25, 20 with 20, 9, 15 with 15. You can do that with the left and right arrow keys as long as it's pretty close. The sticks.
The tripod.
See the sticks of the tripod or those red and white sticks out there? Okay, we're not using that. We're using the little kilometer that's going to be the left. Frosty, shift him left more. We'll use this. I'll get into the sticks later. The sticks are good because they're with the mortar, but the kilometer's a lot more accurate.
You have to rearrange this every time you change fire missions, right?
Yep.
Oh dear God.
You see a kilometer yet? Actually, hold on. Karma or Frosty, stop. Karma, get out, just so I can check to see the site is still correct. Okay, there it is. Okay, you're close. All right. Yeah. That little thing right there, that's called a kilometer, and that's what we're using. So, Karma, get back in. Frosty, shift the gun to the right slightly. I mean, it's probably just gonna be like a tap of your button.
Where'd it go? Okay, there it is. Is it on?
Okay, so now look through that site. Are the numbers for the mills lined up with the numbers on the kilometer? How far off are they? Basically, you'll see like on the horizontal line, it's like 20, 30, 40, 50, blah, blah, blah. On the kilometer, there should be a thing that there's numbers on like inside the little circle, and it should say like 35, 40, 45. You're gonna want to get the mil marks of the crosshair lined up with the kilometer numbers inside the kilometer. So it's better for someone to do that by shifting the gun, but if you've already started messing with it with the left and right arrow keys, that's fine too. Okay, so which way? Okay, so that's from right to left, or left to right? I'm sorry. Okay, so the gun needs to be shifted right. Whatever way the crosshair needs to go is the way that the gun needs to go. So if those numbers are to your left of the crosshair, yeah. So Frosty, shift the gun right. I'm guessing barely. And once you guys kind of get this, you'll understand it more. It's not. It's just this is like just the hardest part of it. If it's just okay, if it's just off, just do it with the gun, or do it by yourself. As long as it's pretty close. Well, yeah, but you like it goes like 30, and then there's gonna be a 30 like a 35 line in between that. It's just not gonna say 35. So just get it there by yourself, and then I'll double check to make sure you got it. So once you think you got it, hop out of the gun and just let me double check. And then I'll let the other guys get in the gunner just so they can kind of see. Perfect. Fucking perfect. Awesome. All right, if Frosty Karma or Frosty Kameki, get in there and look through the site unit. Don't touch anything, but that's what it's supposed to look like.
Alright, so it goes in between the numbers.
You're right.
Oh, dude, I never noticed that those were numbers in there before.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How does the kilometer get those numbers?
Don't ask. I can't give you. Yeah, I'm guessing it reads it via Wi-Fi and magic from the Humvee.
Right.
Okay, so now we're
It
gonna
was
get
worth
into the
the
fact
stakes.
of making the round. We used HE rounds. I think it's those two boxes to the right. You guys can all make one if you want. We're not gonna fire anything yet, but just so you guys can get to it. So use the ones on the right. Don't use the ones on the left because those ones are different rounds. I'm pretty sure. Just let me check. Yeah, these are DPICM rounds down here. So make sure you use the ones on the right. Now, when you go into it, use the your ace interaction key, and then hit prep arty rounds. It's gonna bring up like a green, orangish, shit colored screen, and we use the charge of 1, so you charge down till you get to 1, and then hit
Not let me
prep
access
round.
it.
What happened?
It's not letting me get anything out of the box.
You're not supposed to get anything on the box.
Oh.
You're supposed
Got,
to use
what's
your
it
ace
called?
interaction key, and then hit prep arty rounds.
Oh, it's so sexy.
Okay, so current charge should be 1, right?
Right, so charge down to 1, and then hit prep round. Yeah, make sure your fuse is on point detonate.
Hey, Karma,
Then
get a picture.
it'll be like a quick thing. Then hit escape to get out of it, and then you'll see your round behind you. Don't load anything into the gun. Congratulations, that's a projectile you're about to load into this gun. Now we're not gonna load anything yet, but to load it in, just so you guys can kind of see what it's like, use your carry shell. So you hit carry, you carry it over to the gun, then you use you're gonna use ace interaction to carry, and then ace interaction to load gun. That's what you're gonna use. We're not gonna do that right now just because we're not shooting at anything like an actual target yet. So that's basically it. You guys basically have it's pretty simple. You know, it's just a lot of steps, but it's simple steps. I mean, you guys aren't really doing anything hard mathematically wise. So, is there anybody have any question? I'll get into the fuses next, but does anybody have any like questions?
About everything we've gone over so far. I'm glad
Yeah.
I see the video so I can look at it over again. But
Yeah.
like, I'm just confused like the steps of getting to where we got to. Like, it's just kind of like I'm not familiar with it yet, so I'm just kind of like wondering what the
Okay,
what the steps are.
Are you confused on how we got the gun pointed to where it was at and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm confused how you got it there and why you did it that way.
Well, one, it's like the only way to do it. Two, basically, once the sight unit is once you do all the things in the range table, which is like that view M1, whatever the fuck it was called, sight thing, that range table,
Yeah.
and you get that thing set up in the middle. All you have to do is set up the sight. The gun basically did all the work for you. You're not really doing anything else.
Yeah, I understood. Understood. Like, kind of like I just like don't understand. I don't know how to set up the sight. Is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Okay, so you don't know like the deflection and all that stuff. You don't
And the
know how to
quadrant
set that
thing.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, if you want to, I'll run over that with you real quick. If you want to just go hop in the gun, and then we'll actually get into like I'll go and find you guys a target, and then I'll basically just leave it up to you guys to go ahead and do. So just hop in the gun real quick. Don't change anything. Don't touch anything really.
Yeah. Okay.
Use your scroll wheel and go to that view sight thingy majigger.
I'm looking at it.
Okay. So do you see where it says like 2504?
Yeah, the deflection.
Yeah. Okay, so that you did the deflection, use the def plus and def minus to get to that, Shift makes it go up by 10, control shift makes it go up by 100, right?
All right.
So now the quadrant is your elevation. The elevation, you can, touch, don't use control and shift, just use you can kind of screw this a little bit. Just use the elevation plus and the elevation minus, and you'll see that little dot in the center with those two parallel lines on the top. kind of jump, either left or right when you do that.
No, the dot is on the right side.
It's on the right side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like there it's like a bar, some dashes, a bar, a dash, a bar, and then more dashes, and then there's a zero at the right hand side next to another
Okay,
dash.
well, it shouldn't be.
Oh shit! It's always been like that when I look at it. Like when I'm on like public server as well.
Yeah, it should be okay. The elevation should be 967, right?
No, the elevation's 300.
Okay, well that's wrong. Um, the elevation should be 967. So get the elevation there. Okay. And Karma, I know you probably did this, but it probably fucked up or did something weird. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
okay, now it's level.
Yeah. So was it at 967?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So now it's like in between those two bars.
yeah.
Yeah, that's your elevation. That's how you get the gun basically pointed to where it's at. If it wasn't, the gun would still be parallel. Once you get to 967, that bar or that little circle would have been all the way to the left, and that's when you manually have to get the gun to the trajectory that it's pointed at right now.
Okay, okay. And so you set the deflection, then you set the elevation, then you move it until it's level,
Yep.
and then you line it up with the kilometer.
Yes.
Okay, I understand it now.
Yay. Yeah, I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I'm glad Karma's kind of viewing, videotaping this because there's people are going to be like, I still don't understand. So, okay, there's like 7 different kinds of, no, there's 4 different kinds of fuses. There's point detonate, which is exactly what it sounds like. When the point of that shell hits anything, it's going to explode. Proximity, I don't know how it works, but basically once it gets in the proximity of the target or something walks past it or something, that's when it will detonate. I don't know how it works like that, but it does. There's
That-
timed, which is used for DPICM rounds, and I'll get into that in a second, which is basically once it gets close to a target, it's on a timer. So once it launches from the gun, the timer starts, which is into how long it'll take to get to the actual target. You want to take about 0.5 to 0.8 seconds off of the time of flight. So if it was like 32.7, you want to get to like 32.1. You want it somewhere in there. It doesn't really matter. The more or the less, the quicker the time. So like if you go off by like a second before it's supposed to impact, the bigger the spread of the DPICM round. You understand that? It kind of
yeah,
makes
the
sense.
more shrapnel.
Exactly. God, I love how you guys are actually smart. Okay. So that's and then I think there's one delayed, I think that's what the other one was. And I believe
You want me to check?
no. Actually, hold on, let me actually do that real quick. Just to I think it's called delayed or it might be called something else. I'm pretty sure it's with this. Yeah.
Maybe it would go through a building. Like maybe it would hit like the roof and go all the way down to the ground floor.
Yeah, it's called delay. Delay is basically exactly what it sounds like. I mean, if you wanted, okay, let's say that control tower was our target. If you want the howitzer round to detonate inside that building, you delay it by 0.1 or zero point 0.2 of a second, and it would puncture inside that building, land on someone's dinner table, and then explode in the turkey. Basically ruining their day. Is the best way to explain it. Is the best way to explain that type of a fuse. Exactly. Hey, happy Thanksgiving. Anyway, so does everybody kind of get that?
Does the proximity work for like anti-air, like a flak gun?
I would guess so.
That would be freaking epic. It would have to be done differently, like
It'd probably just be like a Hail Mary type of tactic, but yeah. Anyway, timed is used for illumination rounds because basically an illumination round is a gigantic flare on a parachute. So you want it to explode in air. DPICM rounds, smoke rounds basically is just a curtain of smoke, and then point detonate is for like high explosive. and that's majoritively it. But you can use that point detonates majoritively is used for either smoke, white phosphorus, or uh, high explosive. White phosphorus is used in the 120 millimeter Tampella, I believe, or I think it's actually the 81 millimeter mortar. It's basically an explosive followed by poison gas.
If you use a white phosphorus in like a in the with the like what's
Yeah,
it called, the timed mode, will
yeah,
it like spread out more and like cover more ground?
yeah.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Like I said, you gotta do this on your own and kind of figure it out what works best. It's all that's kind of why I'm giving you guys the tools to kind of just do this on your own and figure out what works for what situation. You get what I'm saying? Okay, now that here's something that people always kind of fuck up. We already, unless you move this gun, and I mean physically move it with a Chinook, you tow it, someone hits it with a tank, whatever. You don't have to get the direction of the barrel, where it's at in the grid reference, the elevation of it, blah. You don't have to do that. If you do it once, it's in the computer, or you should have it written down, or else you're gonna fuck up every single one. You have to do it once, and then after that, you're just changing the direction with each new grid reference information you get. So you guys did it once. That you got the grid reference, the elevation, and the direction of the barrel off the first time. Now, as long as you don't move the gun, you don't have to do that again. You just have to just put in the new grid reference, put in the new altitude of where the target is, and then just change the direction and all that stuff in the sight. You don't have to move the gun at all, or redo that beginning screen. Where it was like grid, altitude, and direction of fire. Okay. Because I know I've seen people do that, and I'm like, no, 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 what are you doing, you idiots?
That is pretty silly.
Exactly.
They don't figure out they're getting the same number every time.
Well, no, that's the thing. They think that since they changed the gun and now it's facing this way, they think they have to redo everything. When you don't, you've done it once. The only reason, right? The only reason you're right. The only reason you changed the gun's direction is so you face it at the new target. You haven't. This thing hasn't moved in the world. You just turned it. I mean, it's just how it works. So you guys get it from kind of get what's going on. Okay. Now, if you guys want, I'm gonna go into some random location. I don't know. I don't really know yet.
Well, quick
Hopefully, somewhere
question
that's what.
before you go. Now, say if our target like was west of here, would this kilometer thing move with the gun somehow? Like, how
No,
would we be able
because
to do the sights?
if you guys come up here, you see this little thing right here. It's like a. It's better if you see it from here. You can actually see the lens, and there's like a little dot above it, like drilled through a piece of metal.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the sight. The sight will always turn. So every time you turn the gun, it's going to find that kilometer every time. It's always going to line up with that so that you're always lined up on target. I know it sounds really weird to aim away from your target and you'll hit it, but that's basically the mindset you need. Even though this thing is aimed over here, the gun will be aimed over there. You get it?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that kilometer is a tank, is a building, is some couple on a Sunday stroll. It's something.
There's a
That's your
butterfly.
target. That is your target. It's just 5 feet from you instead of 1,000 meters.
All right. There's a butterfly. Where'd it go?
Anyway, while he's chasing butterflies, anybody else have any questions? Okay. Now, basically, the way that a crew works, you have a commander, a loader, and a gunner. The gunner, I think you guys have radios.
Yep.
343s.
Everybody just presses that button. Yeah. I think his mic died.
Mine
Great
died?
crash.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry, my keyboard must have fucking died. What was the last thing you guys heard?
You guys should have radios.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, there's a commander, a loader, and a gunner, right? Yes? No?
Yep.
Okay. So the commander sits in the Humvee, the loader is by the ammo, and the gunner is on the gun. The commander sits and uses the vehicle radio to listen for fire missions. He calls that out over the personal radios to the gunner, the deflection, and the quadrant. Then he gives the charge and the type of ammo and how many rounds they are using to the loader. So basically, when that gun's pointed at the target, it's ready to go. I mean, there's no delay. I mean, as soon as the guy says, I'm ready to go, you're launching rounds downrange. Now, the loader might have to pull double duty, depending on how big the fire mission, where he might have to get the rounds loaded and then rounds ready to go, and then he has to come over here and shift the gun for the gunner, or the commander could do it. You guys would have to decide that amongst yourselves. I don't really care how it gets done, as long as basically nobody cares how it gets done as long as you guys are putting rounds down range. I don't care if you guys do it in pink tutus, if you have slave children doing it. It doesn't really matter as long as it's getting done. People will be happy. It's basically the best way to think of it. So, if there's nothing else that you guys really want or really need answered for question wise, I'm gonna grab a radio and I'll be on channel 1. I'm gonna go to some random location, call on the grid, call on the altitude, and then I'll wait for you guys to start setting rounds on range, and then we'll walk through it from there. Okay? Who actually just so we can get this out, who's gonna be the commander, just so I can kind of just think.
I'd give it Karma since he was actually using the computer the entire time.
Okay, Karma. When you get in the computer at the bottom left or in the bottom left corner, there's gonna be like OT direction, and then left, right, up, down, and add and subtract, or add and drop, I think. That's basically, if you guys are off target, that's how I'm going to tell you how to get on target. So I'm going to give you my direction to where the target is, like from where I am in Mills, and then I'm going to tell you either right 40, up 100, I think is what it's going to be. Because I think add and drop is when you're using like DPICM, and I'm telling you like it needs to go up another 50 meters or whatever, but that doesn't really ever matter. So, if it's left and down, it's negative. So it'll be like negative 40 or negative 100. If it's right and up, it's positive. Does that make sense? Exactly. So I'll give you my direction to the target in Mills, and then, add or up 20, and then right 30 or something. Because the thing, the way it shows, I know the bottom, the last, the last adjustment is the up and down for like the DPICM and time rounds. So whatever the second one is what I mean for like long and short. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because I'm not going to give you like, oh, it needs to detonate 50 feet up in the air, because that we're not going to do that yet. We'll do that with DPICM rounds later. And then I'll show you what a DPICM round is. I'll give you guys the same target. I'll bring the Humvee back here. You guys can drive out there, and then I'll show you what the round actually does.
All right.
Basically, except it's not as violent as what the A10s can do. Okay, so is that everything?